Sorry, I was waiting for that to start. So this is Michelle. I'm Michelle Fincher. I am the services specialist supporting the Philadelphia Select region. What that means is I work with the account managers and the partner resources that we have just to make sure that you're getting the right services attached to the hardware and software. You're getting the right service levels, just so that you're operating and adopting everything at at the best optimization level that you can. Appreciate the ability to be comfortable as I'm working from home today and have been under the weather, so forgive my appearance. I'm going to be handing over the mic to Jessica Egan today. She is our specialist that runs all of the things with CX Cloud and Success Tracks, and she actually used to be in a role like I'm in now, so she understands really the needs of some of the pain points, the challenges that you as the customers are experiencing. So I'm going to let her run the demo, and feel free at any point to interrupt, to ask your questions, to stop us at any point that you want to go over something a little bit more. We're here today for you. So I hope that you all gain some value out of this. And if you've got any questions afterwards, and if any of you want a private demo set up for maybe others on your team, we're happy to do that. We've done that for a couple of customers so far, and it's really helpful to have others from your team sit through one of these as well. So keep that in mind as we go move forward, okay? Jessica, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Michelle. So can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right, perfect. I don't want to just assume. So like Michelle said, I have been part of Cisco Services organization now going on 7 years. I am based out of the Northeast, so I cover a lot of our customers out of the Boston area, but I am very familiar with the pain points that a lot of our customers have experienced throughout the years. So I can definitely address any questions you might have, or if you have any after you see CX Cloud. But I did want to start with where we started with services and how we've evolved as technology has evolved over the past decade. So SmartNet is a great offer. We've had it from the beginning. It's traditionally call us when something is failing or breaking. And we have recognized that we really need to support throughout the entire life cycle of the hardware, not just when things go wrong. So we developed solution support handful of years ago, which built on SmartNet, that is the backbone to Success Tracks, which is the offer I'm going to be speaking about today. But what solution support is it routes to our backbone TAC team. So that gets you to our engineers that are familiar with the solution as a whole. So traditional SmartNet, when you open a case, you're going to be routed to an engineer that is familiar with catalyst switching or our routing line. With solution support, these engineers understand how they all talk to each other and how they work with their ecosystem partners. So the cool thing with solution support is when you open a case, if we determine day 2 the issue actually is a VMware issue, as long as you have an active service contract with VMware, the Cisco TAC engineer will project manage that case for you. So they will work with VMware and they will not close the case until the issue is resolved. So this supports multi-vendor solutions as well as our own internal complex solutions like ACI or our campus network DNA offer or HyperFlex. So the other thing to note with solution support is triage is not required in order to contact TAC. So traditionally you need to know exactly what piece of hardware requires support. With solution support, you can call in using that contract number, and that engineer will assist you with pinpointing exactly where that issue lies in your environment. So I wanted to level set there that we have moved from SmartNet to solution support. Both are available today. So obviously, depending on your environment, you will have different needs. Success Tracks builds upon solution support. So when you initiate a TAC case with Success Tracks, you are routed to that team of engineers that I highlighted a minute ago. We also layer on predictive analytics as well as expert resources, and that's all delivered in a digital interface we call CX Cloud. So that is the tool that I will be showing you today with the demo. And I do want to highlight there are 2 levels of service under Success Tracks. Level 2 is inclusive of everything that comes with level 1, but that trusted support is solution support, which I just highlighted. And I will hit on all these individual pieces in the demo, so I don't want to go too into details with slides, but we have this service level available in 4 areas today. So campus network, which is our DNA center offering, does rely on a DNA center appliance to pull the telemetry needed to do all the cool stuff you're about to see. With data center network, we use an 8-BIC as the controller to get the telemetry. And then data center compute, you just need to have the compute. You need to be a UCS or HyperFlex user. And integrated secure operations is our secure endpoint offering. So that is AMP. And this slide just highlights those requirements. We are working hard. We have a team of engineers behind the scenes that is developing a software collector that will eventually get rid of the need for the 2 controller requirements for the network offers. But I did want to highlight that those are in place today. For the data center offers, we do use the free base license of Intersight to get the telemetry flowing between your environment and CX Cloud. This is the future of how you will consume Cisco services. So we are slowly onboarding additional technologies. Hopeful we'll see ICE in the next few months, as well as contact center. So you're going to see more and more added to Success Tracks, and eventually this will be how you purchase services from Cisco. This is very future state, so I don't want anyone to panic. SmartNet Solution Support are going to be around for a couple more years, but the vision is Success Tracks will replace that in the future. And I will pull up CX Cloud so you can see the interface for yourself.
So right here, let's take a quick pause. Are there any questions, any comments, some feedback? Just would love to hear what you're thinking so far. Okay, silence doesn't scare me, so no worries.
Great. So can you see CX Cloud, Michelle, on your side?
Yes, we can see it.
Perfect. So what you're seeing here is the home view when you log into CX Cloud, and this will display everything in your install base. So we will take all the connected devices. So those are devices that are connected through the DNA Center appliance or through Intersight if it's our data center offers, and be able to provide some more in-depth details around those devices. But we will also upload a receipt of everything you've purchased from Cisco. So you will gain access into all of your investments you've made with us, and all of these categories across the top are filterable. So if you're planning a migration and you want to look at hardware that is going last date of support in the next 2 years, you can filter to that. If you want to view items with field notices on them, you can filter to that. The cool thing is it's all exportable. So you can manipulate this offline. If you have a pending service renewal and you want to get ahead of it, this is a great tool to use. You can customize your view here. So if you want to see serial number or contract number detail when you log in the morning, you can customize all of these columns. The great thing too is we're going to highlight your coverage at a contract level. So this will be all active contracts for your install base. I point this out because this is a great point of reference to use when you are looking at your profile manager for your Cisco user ID to make sure you are associated to all of these active service contracts, because this will help with any hiccups that you couldn't incur in the future with opening a attack case if you are not properly entitled to all of these active service contracts. In everything you can drill down, you can see all of the details as to what's on that contract. Let's find something with some more. So this will give you, this is all Meraki. You can see all of that product information pertaining to it, and everything can be exported. So going back to assets, when you click on a device, this is going to pull up what we call our device 360 view. So this will show everything that pertains to that individual device. You're going to see what software release you're running. If there has been a last date of support announcement, it will be here, your support coverage level. We will show where we are showing this is being installed. This is based off of the site ID that is used when you purchase the hardware or renew service on it. So this is a good point of reference to make sure that we have it accurately reflected, because this is where we account for replacement hardware being sent. So this would definitely help alleviate any pain points you may have experienced in that area. Run Diagnostic Scan is an on-demand health check. So if you have a Catalyst 9300 that is acting a little funky, you can run this and see all of the latest advisories and security notices around that hardware. So when you click at the hardware, it's going to drill into the chassis and any minor components. Again, contract. The great thing with CX Cloud is you can initiate attack case on any covered device. So this is SmartNet, Solution Support, or Success Tracks. When you click open a case, it's going to populate that serial, contract number, all that data for you. For the SmartNet and Solution Support covered items, it will follow the TAC process that you're familiar with today, where you will be contacted by a TAC engineer who will ask you to manually pull logs, and then they'll review those logs. For those connected Success Track covered devices, because we have the connection through the DNA Center appliance, we have the ability to kick off what we call rapid problem resolution. So we pull logs up front and we run it through our database of 30 years of TAC cases, and we look for cases that had similar logs. So the engineer is then armed with your logs for your case today, and then resolutions from similar cases in the past. So that first point of contact, you are immediately troubleshooting. So that is a level 1 feature. I know you saw the level in the beginning, and I'll try to highlight that as we go along. But that really expedites time to resolution, and it completely changes the experience with TAC. So with software, I'll highlight what you're running, the announcement for that end of life. So you can view the full announcement here, and it shows a brief timeline of where you're at and when that last data support will hit. Advisories are going to be specific to this individual device in this view. So this is everything that's affecting this hardware. We do have a separate tile that will highlight for your entire environment. So I guess I'll take a brief pause here. Are there any questions around what's in assets and coverage before I move on? Great. So I do quickly want to pivot before I go to the next tile, but we do have what we refer to as a launch pad here. So we acknowledge we have a lot of resources available to you all. Our hopes is CX Cloud becomes home base. It's where you start each morning, and then you can pivot to all of our other interfaces through CX Cloud. And I will pull up Campus as our architecture. So this, if you notice, we changed all the assets to be assets that align with Campus. So that's going to be anything DNA related in your environment. It is the same look and feel in regards to what you'll see under assets and coverage. Again, you can export it. We do add this fun feature so you can look at just your access layer, your distribution layer. So you can drill down by product type in this view. But this is really where Success Track shines. So I will click on Assurance. So this really is going to help you get the most out of that technology. So we take a look at what you have configured today, and we assign you an adoption score. So based off of the technology you have available to you and what you have turned on, this score will be populated. We have a checklist listed here that's going to help you progress along that adoption to make sure you're getting the most out of your investment. So you can click here, and if you notice, everything that supports this motion repopulates. You can click ahead. So if you want to focus on a different phase, you can see that checklist for that engage phase. But the cool thing that you get access to at CX Cloud, within these community discussions, public communities is what you have access to today on Cisco.com. There is no SLA for a response time from Cisco within those public communities. A lot of it's peer-to-peer discussion. Once in a while, you'll see a Cisco engineer layer on top, but there is no response time associated to that. With the private campus or private communities, it can be for other architectures, that you get access through CX Cloud. We have a team of engineers that monitor these spaces, and you're guaranteed a response within 24 hours. So this is a great resource where you might just hit a bump in the road and you need to get something run past a Cisco expert. You can post your question here and know you will have a response within 24 hours. Ask the experts. This is going to pull up all of our webinars pertaining to this campus environment. So we have a whole catalog of them. You can click and see what's available. Everything is recorded and available on demand. So if you can't attend one of these live sessions, you can go back and watch it after it's been recorded. There is no limit as to how many of these you can attend. So you can have as many users watch these as many times as they would like. Success tips will populate any product documentation that pertains to that motion. So FAQs, deployment guides, all the stuff that you probably go to Google for today will display here. Learning is our Cisco digital learning. So this is traditionally what you would purchase Cisco learning credits for to gain access to this material. What it will provide you access to will be the learning that aligns with the success track architecture you have invested in. So if it's campus, it will be all DNA related content. If it's data center network, it will be all ACI, Nexus related, compute, UCS, so on. There is no limit as to how much of this can be consumed, so you can give access to as many users as you would like within your environment. The next 3 items I'm going to hit on are level 2. So certification prep and remote practice labs are limited to 20 Cisco user IDs. So this will get you access to study material for CCNA type exam. It won't cover the cost of the exam, but it will give you access to all of the supporting material to prep for it. And remote practice labs is going to give you access to a guided lab environment. So you can go in ahead of a change window and practice whatever task, like a configure a northbound notification ahead of time, so that when you do go into that change window, you can go in confidently, knowing that you've practiced and you are ready for the task. Accelerators, this is one-on-one time with a subject matter expert. So they're blocks of 4 to 6 hours. You get 3 per calendar year, and you can go in here and request that one-on-one time with a Cisco engineer. So the time doesn't have to be used all in one day. That 4 to 6 hours can be spread out over multiple days, so you don't have to worry about taking someone away from a project for an extended period of time. But this is a great way to get time on an expert's calendar to focus on the next task at hand. Any questions on this adoption tile before I move on?
I will say, I think what I love about the adoption tile is that so many times some of the attack cases that we are seeing are because there is not enough education around the tools, the hardware, the software that's been uploaded. So this education piece, especially the accelerators, are just a really great way to leverage the resources without having to spend extra money from your budget.
Agreed. All right. So I will go to advisory. So this will pull for success track covered items that are connected. And I highlight that because we need to know what version of software you are running today to be able to do the deeper analysis that we do within these. So you can click on the advisory, see a summary of what it is. You can click here to view the full advisory, but we will highlight all of the potentially affected or affected assets within your environment. And when you drill down, we'll show exactly where you matched. So in this case, we matched on software type and release, but we were not matching on the configuration issue. So it's allowing you to make a more informed decision on what really needs to be actioned within your environment. No field notices today. That's a good sign. And then priority bugs. So we're going to highlight the affected assets in your environment that have been affected by a bug. We'll provide the symptom and then the conditions and then a workaround to address that bug. Again, we will list all of the affected devices. All of these are clickable, so this will bring you directly to the serial number and show you where it's located, all that great stuff I showed you under that device 360 view. And then we'll pivot to cases. Always see if I can get this to work.
I want to say the cases is another one of my favorite tiles.
Yes. So I highlighted earlier under that My Portfolio view to take a look at all of the active contracts in your environment and make sure that you are associated under Profile Manager. Because when you do that, when you go under cases, you're going to get a true view into all open cases for your install base. So this will show all open cases regardless of if you opened it or if a peer on your team did. So you can go in, make sure that you're not duplicating efforts and creating a case for the same issue. If someone opens a case and they come down with a stomach bug and they're out tomorrow, this allows you to continue working that case as a team. So you can go in, you can see that summary of why the case was open. You'll be able to see who opened it, who the TAC engineer is, and then add yourself if you want to be on those email notifications moving forward. You can see any notes or files that have been already attached to that case, and then you can continue to attach additional notes and files through CX Cloud. So this really allows for TAC cases to become more of a teaming effort. Again, all of these are filterable if you want to take a look at everything in, a certain time frame, severity, product line. I'll hit on this briefly, auto-created, what that means. And then if there is or is not RMAs, you can also open a case from this window. So with support metrics, this is something that comes with level 2. We're going to provide you an output of how you are consuming our tax services. So we will show cases by time frame, regardless. So right now we're the past 3 months. What severity they were when they were open, what severity they were at when they were closed, if there were open RMAs, product lines. So this is a good opportunity to see where there might be an opportunity to do additional learning. And then top initiators, who's opening those cases? And then problem area, is it config? Is it software related? And then how are you opening them? Are you calling us? Are you initiating via web, CX Cloud? Or was it an auto-created case, which I will hit on in the next view. So we'll go back here. So this insights tile is where the proactive piece comes in. So this right now is only available for campus because we can get everything we need through the DNA Center appliance. Future state, it is going to be available in the other offers and all offers moving forward. But what we do under this insights tile is we now take a look at what you're running for software, how things are configured, and we will recommend software versions. So you can go in here and you can take a look at what you're currently running for release and then view up to 3 options that we would suggest moving to and see a risk score. So what's the score where you're currently at versus the options you can move to. You can see bugs, advisories, and fail notices that are open against those versions, and make an informed decision as to what you want to move to during your next change window. So when you select in CX Cloud, it will push that image back to the DNA Center appliance. It's not going to push it out live in your production environment, but that image will be waiting for you to initiate during the next change window. You can see it will show you all the assets that are currently running that version, and that would be updated during that next change window. With crash risk, we are going to create a security fingerprint. So based off of what you're running for software, how things are configured, we're going to compare it against what we've seen in other customer environments. And if something puts you at a higher risk of crash, we'll highlight it here. So in here, this is medium risk. You're going to see how it's trended over time, but we're going to highlight the reasons. So what are making you be at a medium risk of crash? And then suggestions on what you could do to reduce that risk. And again, you can exclude items that you may not be concerned about at this time, and you could go back and view them after the fact. With faults, we take a look at syslogs based off of the timing you determine. So most customers choose to do a scan once a week. And if we see within those logs and any identified fault signatures that we have in our database, you can go into the database and highlight what you would like case automation enabled for or disabled for. So in this case, you can see this device shut down due to high temperature. This customer did not want cases enabled for that fault, but for these 2 items, they did. So what happens when we match on that fault signature is we will kick off a TAC case on your behalf if you have given us the permission to do so. So we will attach those logs to the case. So you can see here, these cases were opened. You can see the diagnostic outputs that were attached, and you will be notified we identified this fault in your system. We have opened this TAC case number. We reviewed the logs, and here are the next best steps. So you can go and disable if you decide you no longer want case automation for this particular fault. You could disable it right here. but this is just a really nice feature to have. So that's any auto created cases would be items that you have enabled through our fault management library. And last but not least, compliance. So it's sadly not working, the joy of a demo environment. So we will highlight any areas within your environment that are not HIPAA or PCI compliant. So if you're in violation of any of those rules, we will list what those violations are, the devices that are in violation of those rules, and then provide you with a downloadable configuration template to address those issues and get them back in good standing. And that is it for the demo. Apologies for that view not working, but the joy of a demo environment. So I can take any questions if there are any. All right. Well, if you would like a demo for yourself and your team, please reach out to your AM and Michelle, and they can bring me in, and I'm happy to hop on calls with all of you.
Jessica, real quick before we wrap up, what are some of the questions? Like, I know that we had done a couple demos recently. What would you say we're hearing from customers right now are their favorite tiles? I know I mentioned the case, and I also love the accelerators, but in terms of some of the customers we're supporting.
Well, so cases is a huge thing. Having the ability to see all cases for your IB is huge, but the insights piece, having those proactive insights so that you can take steps to reduce risk of failure before something actually fails. That really, and then the software recommendations, I've been told by several customers that it saves them weeks of research and homework trying to figure out what version to move to next. So I think there's a lot of areas dependent on your environment where people are finding value. And I will say a very common question I get is how much time does it take to get CX Cloud stood up? It is no more than 2 hours. And when you do purchase Success Tracks as a service level, you are assigned an onboarding specialist that stays with you for the first 90 days. So they will help you get CX Cloud up and running, get that telemetry flowing, and then there'll be additional touch points to make your CX Cloud interface more tailored to exactly what you want to see. So they can do a little bit of tweaking there and help you with asset groups and making sure your employees and partners, if you would like them to have access to this interface, are set up correctly. So you will be assigned a resource to help with all of that.
Great, thank you so much. Are there any other questions or comments, feedback? Promise you won't hurt our feelings. All right. Well,
Is
like,
there a, I'm sorry, is there a way that, or a demo environment that the TSAs, SEs have available to them? So we can show this to the customer also?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll make sure that information makes it to you.
All right. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
So there should be, and I can, if you want to ping me offline, once we get out of this meeting, I know that there were some steps to access that Ron had shared in the space. So we'd pass that over. And so we'll make sure that you've got that. But we do have those steps clearly outlined. Any other questions? And again, Michelle Fincher, so I know I'm a new face, and a lot of you have probably not worked with me, but I am supporting the account managers and the partners that are in each of your accounts. So I'm happy to support. There's no question too small in terms of your services, your support levels, anything regarding TAC cases and so forth. So I'll work with your SEs, I'll work with your AMs, I'll work with your partners, but I will be part of the team supporting you. So reach out if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to help. All right. Well, Brian, I think with that, we'll probably be wrapping unless there's any other questions.
All right. Well, yeah, thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Jessica. And just a reminder, everyone, the recording will be posted on the Metro Philly Select website. And have a great Friday.
Have a great weekend, guys.